crafty friends, welcome back to the attic. Pull up a chair around the craft table, grab your favorite beverage, and let's have a little bit of craft time together. Today we are on day 7 of our Mix, Layer, and Make event that I am co-hosting with Tammy over at Paper Nest and Christina at Scrapcraft Stitchery. I will have all that information down in the description box. If you're brand new to this event, you can go back and check out that playlist and find out everything you need to know. But for today, we're going to be working on our prompts for day 7. But before we get started, I do want to remind everyone of that pesky little housekeeping about affiliate links that they make us do. Any of the links down in my description box may be affiliate links where I do get a little bit of a commission if you use those links and purchase anything. It's at no cost to you. It does just help my channel out, and it helps me be able to create more content and free things for y'all in the future. So let's take a look at what we've got with day 7. But before we do that, I do want to show you what I've done for days, grab the calendar here, for days 5 and 6. If you caught my video on Friday, you did see my day 4 video, and you know our weekends are free. So day 5 and 6, I do have my cards for those, so let me grab those really quick. Day 5 was Christina's day, and then last night we did a live with Tammy and Christina over on Christina's channel, and I was a little bit behind, but I was able to do my day 6 card live on there and also get my day 5 caught up. So day 5 is Hidden Fairy Spot. We had a Hidden Fairy Spot as our theme, Hidden Journal Spot was our project, ingredients, lace, inked edges, and an added bonus challenge was to add a butterfly. So this is the card I created for that. It's the front, and here's the back. So let's start with, this is a hidden fairy spot. So my fairy element, if you can see right there, is a little fairy, translucent fairy wing. So that's my fairy spot. And it also becomes my hidden journal spot, because you pull that little fairy wing out, and that's your little journal card. And it fits right back in the flower. And then our next ingredients were laced and inked edges, and I've got that on the back. I inked all the edges of my card and added my lace. And then our final embellishment for the bonus challenge was to add a butterfly, and that butterfly is part of my hidden journal spot. So I was really pleased with how that came out, and the idea that I'm using up a lot of old stash that I had. So I'm really loving that part of this challenge. So that's day 5. For day 6, our theme was Butterfly Garden. So we've got Butterfly Garden. Project was to make a tag. Ingredients were vellum and embossing. And bonus challenge was to add a botanical element. So this is what I created for day 6. So I've got our tag here. I've actually got a couple of tags. I used a vellum tag, so I've got that as my ingredient here. Used a vellum tag and a piece of vellum here to make a little corner pocket to attach this tag and have a place to put it. I used a little bit of like table scarf like you would get for like a table runner. I had a lot of that from where my daughter got married, and one of her bridal showers we used that, and so I hand dyed that table scarf and used that. That's also what was in this, it's just a different color. And then on the back, my embossing is I ran that vellum through my embossing Big Shot machine using an embossing folder and created this wood grain effect, and used, let me see if I can grab it here, I used my walnut stain distress crayon to add the coloring to that. And so that's my tag with embossing. Then my botanical element, I've got that a couple of places. Got it back here with my bird. And then on the back side, I've added another botanical element here that I distressed a little bit with just the little distressing sandpaper there. Added a little specimen card and label, and added a little butterfly. I did add another piece of vellum back here that I embossed and used this two distress crayons to get this coloring here. I used Winter Frost and Snow Flurries to get these two colors here for that. So that is my day 6, and then I used these little envelopes just to make a little tuck spot for my tags. So that gets us all caught up to work on day 7 today. So let me slide these things to the side. I did get the rings in where I will be putting these together. I don't know that all of this is going to fit in one journal. I need to play around with that, with those rings. I may have to put my memoir pieces in a journal and then my actual makes in a separate little journal, but we'll see how that works. I'll try to play around with that before our Friday video. So today for day 7, we've got rainy reading weather is our theme. Our project is ticket, and our ingredients are craft paper and white splatter. So I've got my little memoir card I created for that, and we've got our flashcards to start putting this together. So the first thing I want to do, I think, because this is rainy reading weather, I definitely want to add some books into that. And I think what I want to do is cover the card I'm going to be creating on with actual book page for that. So let's get that started. And I am using that vintage book that I've been using. So those pages are really, really delicate. Could use my glue stick, but I grabbed this because it was on my desk, so I'll go ahead and do that. Let's use this side. I think I want to get some of that really distressed edge there, and I'll ink that up a little bit. And I've been able to just fold this over because these pages are so fragile. It's been letting me just pull these apart pretty easy. Okay. How's everybody's week going? Middle of the week on Wednesday. Hump day. Been trying to get some things caught up here in August. I've been working on our event for September, Miss Timber. I'm very excited about sharing that with y'all soon. That's coming along nicely. Alright, and I think I want to cover this with some book page in layers. So let's start there. I have discovered with Christina's live, I've not done lives on my own channel yet, but I need to work on my camera for that, I think, before I do too many more lives. The camera I'm using for my regular videos is different from my lives, because my lives need to be able to be hooked up to the internet, so I'm using a webcam. And I've noticed that it seems to be washing out some of the things I'm creating like last night, the cards, you couldn't really tell what they looked like, or at least to me. I'm not sure how it looked to everybody else. I haven't watched the replay. But I want to work on that and see if I can get that to where it films better. Okay. And now, we'll say that book page being so fragile, it makes a little bit of a mess. Not to mention, I'm using sandpaper, so that makes a mess. But I want to add a little bit of ground espresso, I think, to the edges of this if I can without tearing it up too bad. Before, see if I can grab a different book page here. Before I get that glued down. Just building our base here for our rainy reading weather. How's everybody's weather been? Mine has not been rainy. It has been hot. We were talking in the live last night. People were talking about it was starting to get cooler for them. It has not started to get cooler here. I hope it does soon. Eventually it will. Let's see. I don't know that I want to do that. Let's see if I can add. Oh, let's do that. Like that. Let's tear this just a little bit. That'll give us a little bit of area to decorate. This video is probably going up late. I've been so involved in trying to create that event for September that I got a little behind, and I didn't get this done in advance, but I will get it up before Wednesday is over. So that counts, right? As long as it goes up on Wednesday. Alright, and I think I want to add a little bit of my jelly print paper here. I'm going to add it right there, and then I'm going to add some right there. And I'm going to grab my glue stick for this. Let's go ahead and tear out what I want for that. And once again, our month is flying by. Our August will be over. And it will be time for our September event. Let's see, I think I want this right here. And I'm going to put that right there in that corner. There we go, I like that. Let's get that trimmed up. And I think I'm going to go ahead and ink all the edges if I can get this unstuck from my hands. I'm going to go ahead and ink all the edges of this card up with a blending brush. Before we start decorating. shaking my camera. I apologize for that. A bit too vigorous with my blending brush. And don't forget, if you are playing along with Mix, Layer, and Make, and you are on Facebook, make sure you join my Facebook group if you're not already a member. I'll have that link in the description box. And there is an album in my Facebook group where you can upload pictures of your finished make for each day to get an entry into the giveaway at the end of the month, where I will be giving away a free digital kit of your choice. Alright, let's slide that out of the way, and now that we've got our base, we've got rainy reading weather, and we're supposed to be making a ticket, and our ingredients are craft paper and white splatter. And I think what I want to do first is I want to make my ticket out of, how do I want to do this? I don't want to use that. I think I want to make my ticket out of this and add a little bit of craft paper to the center to where it would be a journal spot. Do I want to do that? Let me think here. What have I got? I want to... I think I'm going to make my ticket out of this Amazon packing material. This is going to be my idea of craft paper. I didn't have any craft paper, but I'm going to just use this because it is made with craft paper, so that counts, right? Let's get this pulled apart. And I am going to grab my trimmer and see if I can trim this up fairly straight. Let's see. A ticket that will fit on this card. So let's see. This card is approximately 3 inches. So I don't want my ticket to be any larger than 3. So I think I'm going to do it at 2 1/2. That out of the way or it's not going to cut. And let's see. I'm not going to really measure this. I think it's 1 1/2. There we go. That out of the way. And I'm going to take out, if I can, this so that it lays flat. Again, I'm making a little bit of a mess, so we can clear that off. And I'm just going to take my punch, that's a notch punch. And nope, actually I have a, let's see where it's at. This one will work. This is a crocodile and it has a stub end here that I think will make these tickets stub. Doesn't want to punch super well. Let's see if I can put a piece of paper behind it. Let's get this. Sometimes if you punch two pieces at the same time, if your paper's a little thin, it'll punch a little better. Let's see if that works. Kinda. We're gonna make it work. There we go. Now let's punch this one. And a little punch of this one. And these little crocodiles for the corner punch. If you want them straight, you have to use a corner of something, so that's why I keep moving it around this old book page to get each of the 4 corners. I need to clean out this crocodile. I think that might be why it's not punching well. It has like a little section where it catches all the little pieces, and I think it might be full. But that is a future problem. That is not a right now problem. Alright, now I think the next thing I want to do is ink up the edges of this with this iced spruce. Let's see if I can do that with a blending brush, if that will show up. Ah, yes. I want it to be a little bit of a difference in color than my book page. So I think this ice spruce will work well. Alright, that up. And I think I'm gonna do it on this side, so that where we have some extra room. I said I was putting that up, but I actually want to come back and stress that edge just a little bit more. And I think I want to use my distressor where these are already. Book page made the little areas. I just want to add a little bit more distressing to that. Good. Now, I think I want to add my ticket here. And this is where I'm going to start adding in the elements. That's my ticket. And I think I want to do... got some books there. I've also got this little, I think I'm going to build that on the back. I think I want to use that, and maybe this little coffee cup here, because when I think of rainy reading weather, I think of grabbing a blanket and a cup of coffee or tea, sitting back and grabbing a book, and that is what I would do for my rainy day. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit of glue to this and go ahead and get this glued down. Books. Do I like that or do I like that? let's use these. There's a little section there. I don't know what that's from. I don't like that. I'm going to trim that out. I could have tucked it up underneath that, but I didn't see it. Let's just ink these just a little bit. Yeah, I think I like that better. Get that on there. And I think I'm going to add a little sentiment that says days like these. There. I like that side. So let's take a look at the other side, and I think that's where I want to build my little scene with my chair. Where we can curl up, watch it rain, and read our book. And that's a little shiny for me, so I'm going to go ahead and distress that just a little bit with that ground espresso. And I'm going to add this little label here that says "Let's Get Cozy." And I think I'm going to add, I want to add these books behind it. Yeah, let's do that. Add those right behind our chair. A little stack of books. And then our "Let's Get Cozy" label. There. Liking how this is coming along. I may have to add a little bit of Fabri-Tac here to get it to stick to that, because that's like a puffy sticker and that glue does not want to stick to it. So I'm going to add that, and for the time being, while it dries, I'm going to clip it with a binder clip and let that dry. Good. And while that is drying, let's go ahead and ink up our card for our memoir image and our prompts. And we will be close to being done. I think we do still need to add white splatters, so I need to remember to come back and do that. But there are no crafty police, so if we forget an element, it's okay. We can always come back and add it later. What is on your desk today? I know a lot of people do What's on Your Desk Wednesday. So what's on your desk? If you're in my Facebook group, if you're not working on Mix, Layer, and Make, and you're not putting those in to enter the giveaway, still jump in there and drop a picture in there as to what's on your desk. What are you working on? What is bringing you crafty joy today? I hope everybody's getting at least a little bit of crafty time in for our self-care things. I know life can throw us curveballs. My design team has been talking about how busy they've been this month. I know a lot of people are teachers that do craft videos on YouTube. So a lot of the teachers are getting ready to go back to school if they have not already gone. I think Tammy's already started back. She was talking about that last night on the live. So we wish them all a safe and happy, healthy school year. Now let's get this glued on. Really need to stop and clean my desk in the next few days. I've got a mess. Mess. But we'll get around to it. Tab on there. I did notice after I did a few of those, I didn't like how the tab, I like the idea that the tab was there separating each one of the days, but I didn't like how it was covering up some of the stuff that was on my cards. So I've been trimming them since I realized that was what was happening. So let's get this one, get it lined up, because I've been trying to line them up so that they're right underneath the last one. So it still covers it up some, but not as much. At least it's not covering up the wording. And you know what I want to do this time? I want to add a little bit of texture here. I'm going to just grab my tiny attacher and I'm just going to attach this versus gluing it. Just like that. And that one is done. Okay. So let's go back and look at our card here and see if this is dry enough now. I think so. Alright, so we've got our rainy reading weather card. We made our ticket. We used craft paper to make the ticket. And we did not add our splatters yet. So let's take a look at how I want to do that. I think I want to do a couple of things here really quick first. Do I? No, I want to leave that. Less is more sometimes. I do want to add a little bit of stamping, and do I have a black ink pad? Of course not. Let's just use ground espresso because I don't want to get up. I want to add a little bit of extra design. Not that you can really see it super well. Actually, I am going to pause and get that black ink pad because I think that will show up better for what I want to do. Be right back. Alright, we've got our archival jet black here, and we're going to redo that just because sometimes when you've got something in your mind of how you want it to look, you want it to look that way. And if you don't, you will not be satisfied. And I was not satisfied. Let's see, I think I want this one to go like this. And then add just a little bit right there. I like that. Now let's see what we want to do on this side. I think I want to do the same thing, just a couple of added elements. Let's do it right there. All right, I like that. Now let's add our white splatters. Clean this up really quick so that I don't end up with splatter on everything. Grab a book page. And I'm gonna do my splatters with some white gesso. Let's see if I can get this without making too big of a mess. I'm going to put a little bit of gesso. Well, actually I'm going to put a lot of gesso. That was way more than I needed, but I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. And see if I can make these white splatters. I think there might have been some ink in that dish, but that's okay. I want to cover up my chair and my book. Let's go ahead and cover that up like that. And let's see if we can get some splatters. Oh, that's a lot of splatter. That's a lot of splatter. But that's okay. Let's grab the, I'll put just a little bit right here on the cozy and a couple on the book. And let's grab a tissue. See if we can get that great big one up. Forgot to close my glue stick. That will be dried up. Let's see if we can get this up without. That's okay. Now let's grab the heat tool, dry that, and then we'll flip it over and do some on the other side. Word of caution, when you are using anything like these puffy plastic type stickers and you're using your heat tool, be careful not to melt your sticker. So you have to kind of make sure that you're keeping that heat away from that. So let's flip this over. I've already got some white splatters. I'm just gonna, probably should have used a splatter box, but you know, you do what you gotta do when you're on a time crunch. Alright, here we go, like that. Now I've ended up with lots of paint on my hands. Let's dry that. We have our card. Let me clean this splatter up just a little bit so I don't end up having that on things I definitely don't want it on. And we'll take a look at what we ended up with for day 7. So we've got our rainy reading weather memoir card. And then for our project, we've got our ticket, we've got our craft paper we made the ticket out of, and now we've got our white splatters. So that is day 7. So I hope y'all have enjoyed this little crafty time with me here today. I'd love it if you'd hit the subscription button. Come back and see me next time here in the attic. And until then, y'all take care.